Do you want more power in your golf swing? If so, try this movement drill that's going to help you move better through your lead leg and create more force at impact. This particular drill can be done in the gym. It'll help you increase your rotational force capacity, but in particular, the technical aspects we're going to look at is going to help you transfer that to the golf swing. So we're taking the principle of gym to swing, improving the physical components and the understanding of the technical components to move better in the golf swing and hit the ball further. To get set up, you're going to need two strong resistance bands that you can attach together onto something very stable. I'm using a squat rack here. Alternatively, you can use a cable machine for the same outcome, but the resistance bands can be a little bit easier to set up and be more versatile. Once you've got the bands set up, we're going to hold it with the trail hand, so in my case the right hand first, and then just the left hand, the lead hand over the top. Take the slack off the band, and all I want you to do is just in a slow motion, just try and pull the band and see kind of what the end range of motion with the tension on the band is. If we're too far away to start with, for example, we won't actually be able to do this movement effectively. So once you're in position, you're going to adopt a golf posture. Now this is a really common exercise that we see within the world of golf fitness, but how it's performed and what we're trying to achieve from it is the key part. So if I was to just do the movement so you can see, what I'm trying to do is essentially rotate and pull the band with lots of power. What's very clear is you can see how I'm having to rotate, so I'm creating some rotational force, particularly in the trunk muscles, to create that higher physical capacity. But in order to make this a more technical drill and understand how this movement can help create more power and push into the lead foot, we're going to go into more detail of what we should be looking for. We know with the longer hitters in the golf swing that their lead foot, so their front foot, pushes vertically out of the ground and slightly backwards. This is because they're creating vertical force and they're creating something called AP force, that is anterior to posterior. So in short, they're pushing out of their lead toe into their lead heel, which creates the lead foot to both spin backwards and vertically off the ground, which looks like a jumping motion. In order to do this, we need to apply a certain amount of force in a certain direction, which we can do in this drill. So now we understand that, what we're looking for is when we try to push out the ground, instead of just pulling it with the arms and spinning the upper body, we're going to try and push and feeling like we're pushing essentially diagonally into the floor. If I'm pushing diagonally down, I'm slightly pushing into my lead toe and slightly vertically into the ground, which will then allow the ground to push back at me. And we can see straight away in slow motion how that pushes that lead foot back and drives that leg vertically and that lead hip open. So what I'm looking for is, as I rotate backwards in principle, I'm not going to just then drive with the arms, I'm going to try and push with the leg. You only want to be doing around 6 reps of these with max intensity. And you can see as we look at my lead foot how that is driving back and out. So I'm creating that vertical push and that AP force as well as that rotational force with my upper body. And the key thing here is you can see how my hands naturally rotate around my body because I'm being pulled backwards. So my body is almost coming into me, my hands and the band is coming towards me. Whereas if I just drive the hands and the arms, we can see how that would essentially drive forward and I would almost lose that connection. Now we're going to couple this exercise with a rotational medicine ball throw, where we want to focus on the same principles, and we can even couple these exercises, supersets, so we could go straight from the resistance band into this, so we can get a similar feel, but now we're learning to push out the ground and release the ball, which gives even more of an exaggeration of what we're trying to do. So from here, we're going to take a little split stance. So start with the feet roughly shoulder width apart, and just bring the trail leg back onto the tiptoe. So predominantly we're now onto the lead side. And what we're going to try and do here is turn, so just turn that chest. We're not trying to do a long backswing. And we're trying to create that same force that we've done with the band. Because the ball's heavier and because we're trying to throw it, so we're trying to get some momentum, we really have to learn to push out this lead leg. And you see straight away how that lead foot has pushed back and out the ground. And we can't almost do this movement hard enough, in the sense that we are literally trying to jump off the ground. And the harder you do it, the more effective the movement's going to be. Now we can apply this into the golf swing motion, where if we set up in the same way as we just did with the medicine ball, maybe even hitting this off a tee, we're just going to do some swings where we're trying to learn to get that lead foot driving out the ground and see if we can make contact with the ball. And then we will just move on to just a normal setup, try to do the exact same thing and see if we can get that really clear feeling of what that lead leg, that lead foot should be doing, and how those exercises and the drills can help create that awareness for you. If you liked how this video explained what type of movements and exercises you can do physically and how that relates to the golf swing biomechanically, check out my online app that gives more drills around how to use the ground properly and create more power in the swing. And if you want to understand more around pressure shift, which is something we've covered in this video in more detail, watch this video next.